everyone, and welcome to KFC SuperCoach TV. I'm Al Payton. Dan Batten has jumped on as well to join me, and the Phantom, I think, is just pulling into the lair, so we'll grab him on in a second as well. But Dan, we were hoping that this week may be a bit of a quiet week in SuperCoach in terms of trades. Not many of us have trades left, so I certainly was hoping that. But it's all blown up this morning. Have you got the latest news from Simon Goodwin and the D's?
Yeah, good to be here, Alan. Here, and the Phantom has finally decided to drop in. Obviously, take two, as Mark Wilkinson has noticed in the comments. We had a little bit of a false start, but we're ready to go and got all the news for you ahead of round 18. But yeah, Clayton Oliver has been ruled out officially now from the Demons side. That's not much of a surprise, really. I think most of us expected him to miss that 1 week. Anyway, it was just whether it would be a laid out or named a bit early. But it's good that we've at least got a little bit of time. Those with trades in hand are able to potentially move him on or just make some calls on whether they get potentially an M9 or a dual position player in that regard to cover him. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting week because we know Josh Dunkley yesterday as well came off the track, or actually didn't train rather, for the Bulldogs. So that'll be a watch for teams tonight, as well as a very popular player in SuperCoach.
Yeah, that'll be massive if he doesn't play as well. Now, the Phantom, thanks for coming on. You wrote in your burning questions this week that don't panic if Oliver's only out for 1 week, which I think Goodwin did say he'll only miss one. Then you don't want to be trading him. But would you be wavering now that you know he's not playing? And some people could be looking at a donut, or there's some pretty sketchy bench cover out there.
It's an interesting one. Thanks for having me again, Al. Sorry about the delay, but Oliver one's interesting. It all depends on your own situation, and if you're out for league victories, I think probably take the donut if you're sort of at 2 or 3 trades or less, because he's only going to miss 1 week. You could get a premium who misses around 20 to 23, and then you're not going to be able to cover 3 weeks when you've chosen just to cover the one. So, and given his scoring has been so good, I think if you replaced him with Callum Mills, if you go by the law of averages, Oliver's going to score 11 points more than Mills when he returns for the 5 weeks. So you're only making up 55 points, just say. Sure, Callum Mills will come out and score a SuperCoach double ton, but you know what I'm trying to get at there, that you might not be covering. He's the most expensive player in KFC SuperCoach for a reason. You're not just trading out any sort of top 10 fringe midfield, you're trading out the top midfielder in KFC SuperCoach. So if you've got 4 or 5 trades like Dan Batten, I'm all for moving him on, getting a jump, taking the advantage where you can. But if you've got 2 or less trades like myself, I'm all for holding, and even in some cases, taking that donut.
Yeah, well, I'm like you with only the 2 trades left. So if I was going to trade him, it'd just have to be a straight swap. And like you said, even though you might pick up a 120 this week from Rory Laird, versus 0 from Clayton Oliver, but if you got someone on the bench, even if it's I've got Josh Carmichael from Collingwood. If he gets another game and scores 60, well, there's only that sort of cuts in half the advantage that you get from a Mills over Oliver. In terms of that points calculation, how many points you have to score over the final 5 rounds to end up ahead. So, it would be a big move to move him on. But I mean, probably the one factor that might make you think about it is that price. He's 722,000, which is just crazy. Which means you could afford obviously anybody on the board, and potentially if you've got enough trades, you could afford to trade him to another top midfielder and then do something with the money. So you're sort of improving 2 spots in your team. So that could be a reason to move, but obviously you need a few trades in the bank to do that. So Dan, we like having you on the show because you actually have some trades as opposed to us. So does that make you think about what you might be able to do with that Oliver money?
Yeah, definitely. As soon as lockout ended on Sunday night, I had my sights set on a Clayton Oliver to Rory Laird, but along with that, I don't think you can, if you've got those trades in the bank, as Phantom said, you could be only making up 55 points, which is why I'm going to be looking with that extra cash saved from going Oliver to Laird. I'll be looking to move on Patrick Cripps, who I think from here on out probably averages about 100, to Callum Mills, who has the potential to go 125, I think, in the run home. He's only 575K. Phantom mentioned him as a possible trade in for Oliver. But yeah, I'm going to be hopefully looking to pending teams tonight, whether Josh Kelly's out or anything like that, going to be trying to get two big guns into the midfield, two pods that have been hurting me throughout the year, not owning, get them in for the last 5 rounds and hope for the best. And one of the things that I was making me a little bit hesitant to do that move was the impending imminent trading of Darcy Cameron. But Collingwood have come out today, and it's something that's certainly I wasn't expecting, that Grundy's actually been training as a forward. He's come back and he was apparently training as a forward during match sim as well, which I think means that Darcy Cameron could be keeping that number 1 ruck spot, or even just a 50-50 split with Grundy, which is not what I was expecting. So I think I'm willing to wait it out and let Darcy Cameron play with Grundy and see how he goes for that week or two before potentially moving him on to a guy like maybe Bailey Smith, who is back this week. But yeah, I think if you're going to be looking to trade out Oliver, it's what you do with that extra cash as well, whether you go from him to Mills and then it's a bit of a trade plan of maybe upgrading a Chris for short or a Cripps who have been killing us over the past sort of 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, sure. Just quickly, and that's where it comes down. Like if you've got the extra trade, you can move that money around. Myself, if I was doing that sort of move, I wouldn't be able to use that money, and with a lot of people out there, are yourself as well. So I do like what that can do for you. There's a couple of questions about, could you still do it even if it takes you down to 0 trades, but it gives you some cover on the bench? It's an interesting one. If you can get some premium cover, I might talk about him in a minute, maybe Patrick Dangerfield or Tim Taranto on swing cover on the bench is something you do consider, but still pretty risky going down to 0, I would have thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I reckon we will talk about those guys in a minute, because that's another way you could do it. And certainly I put out on Twitter this week, who's people's cover if Oliver doesn't play. And, a few people have got some pretty iffy rookies, but there's a lot of people who replied with, an Isaac Heaney or someone like that. So this is where the value of having someone like that on your bench as a potential loop, or then to come on in this situation, is extremely valuable. So that could be a smart way to go. But I'd have to go and do the math. This isn't my strong point, the numbers, but could you do it with 2? It would use 2 trades as well. But if you traded Oliver to Mills or a Jack Steele this week to make a heap of money, save that cash and don't use the second trade. And then next week, use that trade and that money to trade Cripps back to Oliver. Does that work? Then you'd end up with...
Yeah, I'm not sure it does. I think you need to... I think I saw someone on Twitter saying that they were going to be looking to trade in. That was someone with about 8 trades left. I reckon it's probably a move for that if you say have some money left in the bank. But yeah, certainly wouldn't be doing it with 2 trades. I think it is a hold. I think 3 trades or less, Oliver's a hold. I think that's just a sort of a hard and fast rule there. I've got 5 left, so that's why and I've been sort of sitting on 5 for a couple of weeks. So that's why I'm considering doing the 2 trades there to get Laird and Mills in.
You might finish the season with a trade in it up your sleeve, Batten.
Well, yeah,
5 trades for 6 rounds feels like a stack, but I mean, God, given what's been happening.
But yeah, I've been pretty lucky. I haven't had Jackson, haven't had English. When you guys have sort of had some carnage in the last few weeks, I have been pretty fortunate, I think. So I'm sure the luck will turn, and I'll burn these 2 trades, and then I'll be left wishing that I held them again. So yeah, it's a funny game, because especially with so not much longer left, you're wondering where you can make up those points and what's the best way to do that. But yeah, I feel like Laird and Mills at the moment, that's what I'm leaning towards. But I could potentially look at a Dangerfield as a bit of a M9 cover, swinging some other plays into some different positions to have that TPP cover across the lines, because I'm probably going to be forced to field Jacob Ware if I don't do any trades this week as my Oliver cover, and he only scored the 38 points last week.
Yeah, I'll just quickly run through the most traded players. Oliver has been at just before we came on air, traded out of 2,136 teams. He's in 52% of teams, and you think most of the teams that are at the pointy end are going to have Clayton Oliver. So it would be a huge move if someone in the top 10 or 20 or something wanted to really go for broke and trade him out. But then, it won't be Abdul. But then, not have him in the final 5 rounds would be, that's a massive risk. But the most popular replacements, Callum Mills is number 1, and Rory Laird. So they're clearly 1 and 2. So I think, as we've indicated, they're probably the standouts. Both could potentially go somewhere close to Oliver's scoring on the run home. Number 3, Andrew Brayshaw, who's in pretty good form. Touk Miller, number 4. Jack Steele, number 5. He's the real sort of bargain at 549K. Hasn't got up to his sort of, top level scoring since he's been back from injury, but he's looked all right, and, we know what he can do. Then you've got a couple of interesting ones. Zach Merritt at number 6. We know he's in pretty good form. Number 7 is Max Gawn. So people using some DPP moves to get Gawny in ahead of his trip to Alice Springs, which we know he loves. And then number 8, Jace Burgoyne. So some few people are prepared to trade Oliver all the way down to Jace, make about 600 grand, and then maybe they've still got a boost or something. But I mean, where does that sort of leave us, Phantom? Do you think? And I guess going into those, there wasn't really anyone on that list, but, like a Dangerfield or a Heaney type, I don't mind if you could get someone at Taranto who's a mid forward, you can use them to cover a couple of lines. Is that sort of a safer option if you were going to trade, or, even if putting Oliver aside, to try and get someone like that on your bench, because otherwise you're relying on, Jacob Ware and Maurice Rioli Jr.
Yeah, just quickly on Callum Mills, talk about Jack Steele's value. Callum Mills is still the only player in the top 5 midfielders under 600K. So 575K, that's very, very good value for him as well. Yes, up and down a bit depending what Horse does with him, but he's still in the top 5 overall and still probably finish in the top 5 from here. So pretty good value for him. But in terms of Danger and Tim Taranto, Dangerfield last week we saw a return from injury, 62%. Game time for him, scored 96. Banged out a SuperCoach ton last week when his game time went back up to 79. We know what he did in the run home last year. We know what he's done before. Great buying. Him and Tim Taranto both in the low 400Ks. I like the idea of trading someone from your bench to these guys rather than down from Oliver, unless you're making the money, because you're using the trade. But yes, you're also giving yourself an extra play on top of your 22 if you need for the long run as well. And maybe for those who aren't going to trade Oliver, but still might be fielding a rookie in the forward line or something like that, or in the midfield or somewhere else, then probably don't have a lot of trades left as well. We know issues are going to pop up. So if you can do it in one trade to a Dangerfield Taranto type, I like that as well. But again, if you're going to trade Oliver, I do like it if you can get, maybe you do have a Weir, or you've got an extra rookie in your midfield, or you can still get a Roses or someone like that. You can get up to Taranto or Dangerfield. You swing Taranto in the midfield for a week, or play Dangerfield for a week and then loop him in the last 5 rounds.
Yeah, I like that. So if you've got a Greg Clark or Rosas, or someone's still got Paddy McCartan or somebody with a bit of cash on them, and you can turn that player into your bench cover and just stick Oliver on the bench, and then you can bring him back in next week. So that would be the way to go. So we've got a few other questions this week, a lot around, how do we manage with only 2 or 3 trades left? Is it worth doing this with only 2 trades? Or so Adrian here saying, with 4 trades, would you go Oliver to Steele? I mean, we're probably saying that trading out Oliver is almost, you need 2 trades to be able to make it worthwhile, to not just replace Oliver, but then use the money somewhere else. So you're getting 2 premiums. So that would go down to 2 trades, which I'm a bit hypocritical because I'm already on 2, so it's Phantom. So maybe you could, but then you've got no Oliver. So I probably wouldn't do that. I don't know if anyone disagrees with me, but Corey here is another regular viewer. So he's got a couple of options there with only 3 trades left. And he actually doesn't have Oliver. So he's a winner this week. But, how are we sitting with, like you say, 5 trades down, you're prepared to make some moves, but 3, would you be as confident?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I reckon you mentioned a Whitfield to Stewart. That could be a really big trade there ahead of finals. A big point of difference because he's scheduled to be back. Is it round 20? He's back.
He's got 2 more,
Yeah, another 2. So misses round 18, 19. I like that move, and just holding your trades, because who knows what moves are gonna, what injuries are gonna happen, and it's. I think we've been pretty lucky over the just to have the one injury in the sort of past couple of weeks. So I think that waiting in general is good with 3 trades, especially if you're playing for finals and going for leagues. So it sort of depends where you sit in your league as well. I think if say you're not going so well and you're sitting 8th or 9th, then maybe Cripps to Mills is the way to go. But if you're comfortably in and you want that point of difference for finals, not many people will be have trades left. at that point, I think Stewart could be the way to go there.
Because I agree. Ideally, you'd have one trade for each of your big finals. Say one for prelim week, one for grand final. You still got there because you want to make those last move. Even if there's no injuries, you still want to get that advantage to make that tactical trade in the final, in the grand final, Saturday night or Sunday morning when you're behind or you need that extra player. But that's obviously saying that nothing's going to happen. We know something probably will happen as well in that month of KFC SuperCoach final. So, Corey, if you say you're going to go for the finals, I agree with Dan, and I'd keep those trades and you make a Cripps to Mills move or a luxury trade once you're deep in the SuperCoach finals.
Yeah, well, that's something to bear in mind. That it's only 2 more weeks of home and away rounds, I guess, in KFC SuperCoach, and then we do get into the finals. So, they're pretty close. We mentioned his name earlier. I don't know if I'd be trading Clayton Oliver to him, but what are your thought of Jace Burgon in his first 2 games, Dan? He's on the bubble, and a few people are trading him in. I don't know who needs a rookie at this time of year, but I guess he could free up some cash.
Yeah, well, the Phantom would have had a close watch on him over in SA in the sample under 18s last year was quite impressive, particularly in his bottom range year. But yeah, I think he looked pretty good at senior level. He's one of the skinniest players in the AFL. I think there was an article on our site saying he was the second lightest player in the competition, but he's certainly got skills and uses the ball really well. So he's managed to score 260s in his first 2 games, and it looks like the power will stick with him. I mean, at least in the short term, if he keeps playing like that. And I think at the moment that def mid status could be so handy, especially if you're trading him into your midfield, because it means you're getting you could potentially swing a Jaden Shaw. I think most of us have maybe a Jacob Ware sitting on the bench there in defence. So being able to swing a Jaden Shaw, Jack Crisp, even a Jordan Dawson into the midfield could be really handy. So yeah, I think that he's worth trading. He's probably the top rookie option. Josh Carmichael's one who's pretty solid as well, mature age again from the sample. But yeah, Jordan De Goey, he's going to be back. He's going to miss a couple more weeks, I think. But I wouldn't be too confident that Carmichael's going to hold his place. And we've seen Burgon for 2 games. He's put some good results on the board, and who knows where Port Adelaide's chances are going to lie. I mean, it's sort of one more loss and they're totally out of finals. So they might just decide to play the kids from there anyway. So, yeah, I'd back Jace Burgon to at least play the next couple of weeks. And that's all you sort of need, I think, with the def mid status.
Yeah, I think a lot of it will come down to that. What's going to be most useful to you, getting a def mid player in your midfield, or maybe another forward mid like Carmichael. He started pretty slowly last week, but scored okay in the end. Hopefully, as you say, with De Goey out, maybe keeps his spot for a couple more weeks. We might just quickly jump into captain's talk. We won't go for too long today, but Oliver is not playing does make it a bit more tricky in terms of who the captaincy might land on this week. We've got the Bulldogs and the Saints on Friday night, so no Thursday night game this week. But Phantom, have you given captaincy a lot of thought at this stage?
A little bit. He's been a bit up and down, but Jack McRae on a Friday night at Marvel against St Kilda midfield, that can be shown up a bit. I don't mind that option. Obviously, going into Lachie Neale, let's talk to the Giants, put a bit of a cooler, I think they said, on Lachie Neale on Saturday afternoon. You probably wouldn't want to go into the captain on him, but you could potentially VC. But I think it'll be Jack McRae for me, or I've got a lot of dogs, so it's either Bont, Tim English, or Jack McRae. I think I'll do one of those guys as a VC on Friday night, given there's no Clary Oliver. But then it becomes interesting. The captain option, Tuke Miller, probably the reliable one against the Bombers at Marvel in the last game on Sunday.
Jack Caldwell?
Could happen, but you're not going to see Tuke Miller do what Lachie Neale did last week and trudge around.
Someone in the lair there
in the background. Is that Phantom Junior?
Sorry, that was Phantom Junior in the background, just laughing at my KFC SuperCoach team. You're not going to see Tuke Miller trudge around like Lachie Neale, and potentially it might scare the Bombers off from making that sort of move because they know how Tuke Miller works. Maybe they target someone else. But it's an interesting week. Callum Mills, I don't mind too. A lot of space room up the stadium, but the Dockers are pretty tough. But James Sicily, he's probably a good VC option against the Eagles, the MCG on Sunday afternoon, but then he'd have to go into a Tuke Miller. So as far as I've got now, probably a Jack McRae or a Bulldog on Friday night. Hopefully I don't have to use it. Maybe a Tuke Miller, despite the threat dry Caldwell on Sunday.
I looked up a few numbers. So when the Dogs and the Saints last played, Jack McRae, this was last year, Jack McRae scored 149, and the Bond scored 159. But the Dogs aren't really the same team as they were last year, so bear that in mind. But I think probably on the Friday night, they're probably the outstanding options. Rory Laird against the Pies, 144 and 185 in his last two against them. And they even last week, LDU scored nearly 150 against Collingwood's midfield. So, I think I really like that option. Lockie Neal, 164 against the Giants in round 11 this year. But as you said, there's always a worry that they try and put someone on him. So, there's a few options going around there. I think probably Laird is the standout for me. Unfortunately, which I did not have last week, I have a zero player late in the round with Malcolm Rosas playing in the final game. He won't be playing for a few weeks with a hammy, so which is not ideal, but at least it gives me a late loop. So I think I could VC Laird potentially, but then it's pretty wide open from there. What about Julian's suggestion here, Dan? There's a few rucks actually. Todd Goldstein v Richmond is probably want to prefer to VC rather than the straight captain. But if Richmond's playing Samson Ryan in his second game against Todd Goldstein, he could potentially score. He's been a really handy pickup for me. He scored a couple of 120s. So, I could see him going big. And then, Sean Darcy, if not sure what Tom Hickey's doing, but Peter Adams won't be playing. So they might be relying on some makeshift rucks up there as well.
Yeah, Goldie and Samson Ryan could score 200 between them on the weekend with Goldie scoring 201 and Samson Ryan scoring -1. So, no, I think hopefully he goes a bit better this time. He's got another year in his leg, Samson. But, I think that I think it's got to be if you've got Goldstein, that's a really nice option, especially as a VC. If Dunkley's out, I think he's even a shout for a bit of a sideways trade from Dunkley, depending, obviously on teams tonight. But, I think I'm going to be looking to trade in Laird. I think I'll be sticking the captaincy straight on him, and then it'll probably be Jack McRae VC for me. But the big slug Darcy, he's been in form. It obviously depends whether Tom Hickey comes back this week, whether he scores massive, because he has gone pretty big against some lesser opponents, and even kicked 2 goals last week against the Saints. So it looked to be back to form against some quality opposition. So but I probably wouldn't trust a captaincy with because he's had a few weeks without a poor score, and I think he could be due. But obviously, Lachlan Hewitt gone against Port is a very juicy option. It's probably why a lot of people are looking to trade him in. And
good one.
We said on our podcast that he does love to play at some sort of unusual grounds and some, off the beaten track sort of areas. And I think he's gonna obviously with Ladham's out, he could have a field day up there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we saw Scott Lysett was looking to possibly make a comeback, but that's been put on hold. So unless Sam Hayes comes back in, it'll be, or Bryn, Tim said something in our chat, Phantom, have you heard that Bryn Teakle might not be far away?
Yeah, I think Port said they'll hope he could be available selection next week, potentially, or put his hand up, whether that's, to the sample or back at AFL level. Might depend on what the Power do this week. But a chance to be back and maybe feature before the season's end.
Yeah, that'd be handy. Just trying to find out Zinger of the Week. Someone here asking what to do with Massimo D'Ambrosio. You can't really do much with him now, can you? He's just a donut for a couple of weeks at least.
Yeah, I think so. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what the actual injury diagnosis was on him. Oh, yeah, so he's actually on the injury list. He was a test with a corked quad. Okay. So that's interesting. I thought it would be a lot more. Might be more than that since he was subbed out. But so hopefully it's not too bad, and he might actually be back even as soon as this week.
Sounds good. Now, Phantom, did you indicating you had a zinger there for us? I think it might be relating to, we saw Dan might have sold all his artwork from last week because there's nothing going on now.
Yeah, we've got a couple of things here. We want an update on the artwork too, Dan. I'm not sure if you sold it or not, but Ricky, we've got 2 zingers of the week this week. Ricky, are you in an interrogation room?
Just want to. So we're in the office.
Dan.
It's in one of the meeting rooms here at the Herald Sun. So not at home where all the artwork is on display. Should have probably thought of that and worked from home because there hasn't been any bids as of yet. We had one potential bidder on Twitter, but it didn't quite work out. So hopefully we can get a bid for that artwork because I think it's worthy of at least $7. So get your bids in quickly because it's running out. It'll be off sale in a few days, I reckon.
You can get a couple of KFC snack boxes for that, I reckon, Dan, on the way home from Heraldton office. But Matt Collins also followed up with his Dan trying to roll the Phantoms background. Need the goat back. Interesting background. We do need the goat. We need some new artwork as well from the goat, I reckon.
Yeah, and I might have to contact him about that. He was unavailable today. He had a very important work meeting, which he was very disappointed about. I know he's a massive Clayton Oliver fan, so I'd be very curious to know what his Clary trade plans are, actually, if he's prepared to divulge them, because
I've got them. Do you want me to reveal them?
For a high rank as well.
Oh,
I've got them. Do you want me to reveal them?
Oh, yeah, we definitely do.
Yeah, reveal.
He said he's got Adam Treloar this week at M9 and F7, who he might cover, but he would trade Oliver if Dunkley did miss. So he's going to see how Treloar goes on Friday night and whether Dunkley plays, and then weigh it up. He's got 3 trades left.
Ooh, okay.
So goat.
Yeah, I mean that's If Dunkley's out, that's going to be nasty because a few of us, that's an option I've got at least a little bit of mid forward swing to try and provide some sort of cover. But yeah, having 2 outs. But I mean, what is there? 6 rounds to go. This kind of thing's going to happen. So
yeah, it is.
Good luck, everybody. Hang in there. If you have to field a pretty ordinary rookie this week just to suck it up for 1 round, you certainly won't be the only one. So, I wouldn't be. And even to the point of taking a donut, I'm sure there'll be plenty of players out there who will have to cop a donut because they just don't have enough trades or they're not prepared to move on. As you said, Phantom, the number 1 scoring player in the game. And hopefully when Clayton Oliver comes back over those last 5 rounds, he can score enough points that it would make up for getting an extra player in this week anyway. So if you think about, the total points, total rank at the end, and it might depend on, how you look at who your league opponent is this week. But I think, unfortunately, we might just have to cop it for a week. But thank you. Someone's got Lipinski. That's not the worst. I'd take that over who I've got it there.
Just thought we'd throw to Mac there. He's commenting a lot. So that's fine.
And Phantom Junior's getting around Max take as well.
Yeah, he's a fan. All right. All right. Thanks, guys, for jumping on. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Good luck this week without Clayton Oliver, and we'll be back to talk KFC SuperCoach very soon.
See you guys.